Glen, Kenya, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you both. Just to get started, at least I would want to know, who are you folks and what are you all about?
Ladies first, Kenya.
Sure, thanks, Glenn. Hi, guys. It's really nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Kenia Mattis. I founded an animation and design studio a few years ago. We're based in Jamaica. And essentially, we are focused on storytelling and design. We do animations, games, and apps. And in addition to helping companies tell their stories through animated ads, we also do some kids projects as well. So we're really excited about that.
Hi everyone, my name is Glen. I'm the project director for Aspiring Studios, which is a Kingston-based game development business focused on developing small narrative games. Additionally, I'm the loudest member of the Jamaica Game Developer Society, which is a grassroots collective of nerds who want to learn more about the business and craft of games. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you both. You both sound brilliant. Both sound got your hands in a lot of pots. We'd love to kind of hear, at least the folks in Toronto, we'd love to hear what got you folks started in indie games. You know, I think there's a lot of journeys that get into it. I myself started through a hand-eye program. I'd love to hear your stories.
Okay. But specifically for indie games, I've always had like this creative streak, and I've always had a love of technology, and gaming kind of represented a merger of the two. It was a way of me, satisfying my two passions. Specifically, indie gaming came about when I was in my second year of university, and it kind of dawned on me that I don't necessarily need to migrate to make games. I didn't have to wait.
Home.
This is in the before time, before stay home became a health advice. So that was it. So I just started, and then I just consumed content and learned more, taught myself, and that's where everything started.
For me, we started doing stories, at least to me, like League of Maroons and Cam, and we always thought that there would be really cool if, in addition to creating these characters in stories, that we could play them as well. And so that really led us to start, experimenting and doing various things, and also into how I got into meeting up with Glen, with the Jamaica Game Developer Society, and also collaborating on creative games as well. So it really started from a love of, characters and storytelling, and how we could turn that into games that are based on, hopefully, people that people love.
I love that. I love that it comes from that love of storytelling and how can I further this experience and make the player more immersed. That's so good.
Fun fact, Kenya is the hosted, it's not the first game jam, but I guess it's the first time we got quote unquote sponsorship with the Jamaica Game Development Society. We did our very first global game jam hackathon was that your office?
The office at Listen Me in Halfway Tree, right by the clock.
Yeah,
it was really cool too. It was 20 odd, almost 30 people coming together for the very first time.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I feel like it was over the course of the weekend. It ended up being in the 20s. It was really cool.
That is really cool. I think it shows too, the passion of folks who are in these communities, where it's they're willing to go after hours to some office they've never been to, 20 to 30 people. They're just I don't know these people, and to hang out, and it's just because of the love of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. So at our very first game jam at the office, at least to me, I just remember this kid who's 10 years old who came with his dad, and he just wanted to be in a space where there are people who like him, love to make and to play games. So I think it's just really special when at the end of a 48-hour period, you can do that, have fun, and still have something to show for it. So that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's intergenerational love, where anyone of any age will come to an event. It's something that's really special in the video game scene. You might not see it in other art scenes. It's definitely something we've seen in Canada. I know the other folks at Hand Eye who've been running events for years, we can definitely attest to this. I would love to kind of switch gears now and jump into the game community and game culture in Jamaica. Because Glenn and I, we were talking earlier, and he said something that really struck me. He said something about how Jamaica is already known as this cultural powerhouse, right? It's already known for its immense artistic contributions to the world through music, visual arts, whatnot. I'm wondering, what's it been like sort of building from the ground up a new art scene through indie games, through video games for y'all?
Well, okay, I'm gonna start this one off, and I think, like, incidentally, Kenya can actually add on to it.
Sure.
Earlier in our talk, I kind of explained that it's been chaotic a little bit. Like, we have a lot of people who are aspirational professionals. Like, they want to make that transition from hobbyist to professional, but they're not entirely sure of what needs to happen to bridge that gap. And so there is a need for like a biz dev kind of skill set, but there's definitely passion there. And what I'm trying to do through the Jamaica Game Developer Society is kind of just make a community to kind of cushion some of the, like, sand down some of the harsh edges, because you're going to have people who release the game and then suddenly they have to market it and they don't know how to market it, and then nobody cares about it, and that's disheartening. That crushes people when you're working on it for a long period of time. So kind of build up that support is what I'm trying to do. And honestly, what I've been trying to kind of pick up on and try and mimic is the animation industry, because recently that is the new space, really and truthfully, in Jamaica. And take a boost, Kenya, you're kind of one of the pioneers of that space. Like, listen to me and animation and what you've been doing through I can't remember, JAFTA and all of that.
Yeah,
has kind of been building up a framework and a skill set around animation and filmmaking, and seeing that transition from hobbyist into professional and getting government support. That's kind of what I want to do with gaming and game development. So I don't know if you can just build on that, Kenya, with your experience there.
wow, it's
No
so
pressure.
much. And I mean, I know, right?
Just called you the pioneer in one of these fields. No pressure.
I mean, let's not get it twisted. The work that Glen does is amazing. I mean, he's been at it for years now. Like, I came into the thing and saw him doing it. You know what I mean? Where games are concerned. So I was sort of in the animation space. Glen has been in the game dev space, and we sort of interconnected and we started collaborating on a few things. Because, well, first of all, I think that collaboration is really key when it comes to growing a community and growing an industry. And I love to see when people, like you had said, we think of ourselves culturally as really very strong and uniquely identifiable. There are certain characteristics, whether or not they're stereotypical or not, of what Jamaica is. The image of the locks, the image of sun, sand, and sea, and the accent and the music. There's sports. There's so much. So I feel like there's such a cultural, hotbed of assets and stories, mythology, and just a way of seeing the world that could really be infused into game design, game development, and really create unique, rich experiences for people, not just in here in the Caribbean, but the world over. I mean, when you think about like music, Popcorn's music in racing games, and how our music has already influenced game experiences through music, I think that becoming a character that's sort of immersed in a Jamaican type scenario or reality would be really cool. But as romantic as that vision is, as Glen alluded to, it takes so much work, because we're at the start of this journey right now. And to get from the hobby stage to the professional stage, it takes commitment and also expertise, which we need to develop locally, experience, which we'd love to harness. I'm so happy we're having this conversation, hoping that we can leverage some of that. And of course, funding. That would be really cool. So there's a lot of work, I think, that we need to sort of put into not just coming together a few times and making stuff happen, but making this a collective and growing effort. So I'm hoping that initiatives like this and even this call and this conversation can spark something that, can help to take it one step further.
Level it up a bit. Yeah. Kenia, you kind of answered this already, but it's got me curious regarding my next question in terms of the lessons that y'all would be able to impart to other folks in other countries and other areas where they're sort of in the same place, where they're building their own grassroots games community. They're doing what Glen said. They're trying to sand out the edges, make it all glossy. And I'm wondering, would either of you have any lessons or tips or advice that you're just like, wow, I wish someone told me this sooner when I was doing stuff, making things happen, helping out others?
I feel that if it's one thing I've learned in any creative endeavor, whether it's game design, development, community, like the creation of a product or a community, or even a company, it's consistency. It's the person that does it the most and that lasts the longest that wins. And when I say win, all I mean is just staying in the game. So as tough as it may be and as challenging as it may be for, a country that has maybe few people locally, with very few resources, I really think that there's strength in just having tenacity, and connecting with your tribe, finding them wherever they are, whether it's local or overseas. So I would say staying in the game and just continue to plow at it and connect with other people, because that really motivates you. I don't know how you feel then, but certainly when we are in the same space, in the same room, when we get together, there's just a vibe, an energy that's really palpable that kind of motivates us and fuels us forward.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Personally, it's like I find that I'm actually pretty intrinsically motivated. Like this is something I'll do anyway. It's really trying to build up a healthy framework to continue doing it, because what I find is that passion and drive only gets you so far. You eventually hit a point where you need to stop, you need a break. And by having, your tribe around you, it's kind of like, yeah man, just stay off, get up, come. Like friends that have made it through the group, like Graham, even some of people who are not as active as they used to be, because the same kind of burnout scenario, just those friendships, those having those voices, cheering for you on the sideline or cheering for them, that kind of keeps you going. And like Kenia said, the race is not for the swift, it's for the people who can endure.
Yeah, because burnout is real, right? Burnout is, especially in games. Whoo!
Oh, that's a different thing.
Yeah, we could talk for hours about crunch culture. That's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But the beauty of community, as you're both touching on, is that fact that you can rely on each other when the chips are down, when you need a sort of a helping hand. And I'd love to kind of touch now on helping hands in other scenes. Like, I'm wondering if there are allies that you found of the indie game scene, of the indie game community in Jamaica that you'd like to shout out, or any allies that you think have really sort of done a lot.
Two organizations in particular. First off, Karimak, David Souter. He is a senior lecturer at Karimak, which is the media arts department at our local university. He has been, he's an avid gamer, and he's pretty much been an advocate of animation and gaming and pretty much how creative expression can be used, for lack of a better word, professionally. Next person I would shout out to is Andrea Dempster Chung of Kingston Creative. It's not necessarily specifically indie gaming, but just in terms of the creative art sector in Jamaica and brand Jamaica as a whole. She's been doing a lot of work through that space, and she gave me an opportunity to speak a couple while back, and she has consistently reached out to me to kind of just ensure that I'm engaged in other ways, and has gone out of her way to make sure that I self-promote more than I normally would.
That's such I think a common problem for a lot of creatives, where they're really good at uplifting others, but their own work, they don't see the beauty and the glory, and they don't grasp it as much as they should.
It feels weird. It feels weird.
But not only that, but as soon as you finish something, you're just like, Yeah, but there's this
Oh,
other thing though,
On to the
or
next
it
one.
didn't do this thing though.
Because
So
you,
oh
you
yeah.
can
really
never have a
focus on the
finished product,
gaps
right?
than the games.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes someone else has to shut the project down before you declare it closed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I get it.
definitely relate to that one.
One question I really did want to ask y'all, if there's a game either you're working on or a game that someone in the community is working on that you think is really special, if either of you would like to share it and kind of talk it up for the people.
Okay. It's weird you ask that because now I have to do that thing that's uncomfortable. I'm actually currently working on a project called Quest Light Pocket, which is location-based RPG where you hunt monsters in real life locations. It's currently in alpha. I'm working to get an alpha proof of concept done before the end of August, and I'm pitching it to a couple of publishers. And it's coming to mobile, so it's Android and iOS. Outside of that, there is another game that I think is super, super cool. It's coming to PC, and you realize by me talking about it's not mine, but it's Graham Reed's Super Space Club. It is a very lo-fi, beautiful space asteroids Z style game. It's very chill, and I think anybody who has seen it should definitely wishlist it and follow him on Twitter at Graham of Legend. Yeah.
That's a real friend right there. Just being like, hey, here's the social media handles.
Kenya, specifically though, any local any new projects that you can talk about right now? I know you have a lot of things, in the back burner.
I I guess I could say that it's very small, that same project that we worked on together, Glen. It's super simple. It's really tiny, but I just thought it was really cute, and it's building on a concept that we're developing, so it will develop over time. And that's Cam the Space Explorer game. So that started out as like a poem my sister wrote years ago, which we ended up doing a short animation for, which ended up winning an award, and it's now in the process of being developed into other things. And Glenn was like, yo, I really like the visuals, we should do something with this. And he amazingly worked with our team to develop like a space asteroid beating game, which had some like Jamaican phrases thrown in there as well. So I think it's basically the start of more things to come. It's now available on the Apple Store, and I'll share the link of that with you as well. But to me, that's really a story of like true collaboration between people who just wanted to see something cool happen, and I'm really excited about that for that and many other reasons.
I think it's very beautiful that it shows that someone's like this poem years ago made, took on new life, took on another life, is inspiring this current project. It shows like all these connections and all these chains. I think my final question for the both of y'all, what can viewers, people seeing this at home or wherever the heck they are on the TTC, I don't know, or what's the transit in your area right now?
It's JUTC? Us?
A car.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what outside is anymore.
Exactly. What's an outside?
I know. It's a concept. It's an environment just for inspiring indie games, right?
It's a mental construct.
It's here.
That explains a lot.
Right. And so like for the viewers at home or wherever the heck they are, they're watching this, or like, I really want to support Jamaican indie game developers. I really want to support the community and this special thing that they're building. How can they do so? What would you recommend they do?
Well, if they want to support the community, I would tell them to boost and like and share projects that Jamaican game developers are making. And that's one called Street Boy JA, made by the Pinnacle Brothers. I've been plugging that game relentlessly for a while because
really
it's probably
cool game.
Yeah, right? It's the most
Really
Jamaican aesthetic game that I've seen ever.
For
really.
A minute. Yeah.
So that's one.
I couldn't remember the name. Thank you so much for saying it, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, what's the name of that game with the Street Boy? It was actually the Street Boy game. Okay.
Yeah, so check them out. It's really good so far. You can like, share, and support. You can check us out also at the Jamaica Game Developer Society. That's JGDS_official
I
on
love that
Twitter.
you're like doing these live shout outs and you're like verifying. You're like, I gotta make sure this is correct.
And you can also check out the site, which is jgds.org. And ask you guys to pass through on the Discord every now and again if you have time.
And what's your handle, Glen?
Oh yeah, that thing. Oh yeah, and my handle is Sprite Wrench. Sprite like the soda, wrench like the tool. On pretty much everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So it's on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on everywhere. Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for viewers who are looking to support?
I feel like Glen was very comprehensive. I was going to say to follow two things. I was going to say one, also to plug Kingston Creative. I think their handle is @Kingston Creative. Yeah, I think they're doing some cool stuff that that encompasses not just the game community, but the creative community in general, artists and creatives and game designers as well. I was also going to say, of course, the Jamaica Game Developer Society, which Glen has plugged in the links for. There's also, if there are persons who are interested in checking out the Jamaican, just seeing what the Jamaican designer community is like, I think there's a Facebook group that's the Jamaica Design Association. So that also, I think, comprises the game developer community as well in terms of the designers. And if anyone is interested in checking us out online, we are at Listen MiNow on all the platforms. So that's Listen, LISTENMI, Now, NOW, and that's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. So yeah, I think that those communities kind of represent some of the people I want to shout out.
I think we might have missed one community, which is the Animation Nation.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Jamaica Animation Nation.
I think it's so fascinating how, like, when we talk about community, there's this maybe idea of, okay, it's just a group of people. They're all part of this one organization, one group. But I think what you folks are illustrating right here, right now, is that there's so many different collectives, so many different groups, so many different expertises that everyone's bringing to the table.
Definitely.
Because there's so much work to be done.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing about video games that maybe other fields don't understand, is that to be interactive, all of these elements, video, sound, art, assets, coding, stories.
It's this great melting pot of just so many different other industries that sort of come together to create a new version of an experience. So I think that so far, because although we do have the Game Developer Society here, I think many of the members are sort of also converging from the other communities as well.
Mm-hmm. A lot of intersectional interests.
Yeah.
Really cool. Folks, this has been really, really cool. I think that's all I was curious about. Was there anything that I didn't ask you that you really wanted to shout out or to say?
I'm hoping, and I hope I'm not pushing too far, to say that we can really act on some long-time conversations that may have started between Canadian game developers and Jamaican game developers and designers. I think that we're really open and excited about learning and about growing. And if anyone from your community wants to certainly use our skills in sound design or in illustration or anything that makes our cultural flavor an interesting addition to any projects that you guys are working on, I think that'd be really cool. I'd love to see some trans-cultural collaboration.
Beautiful cross-cultural exchanges. Yeah, I'm here for it too.
Yeah.
Toronto, at least I'm a very Toronto person, but Toronto is very much here for the Jamaican artist scene and the Jamaican artist collaboration. So I think this is in the near future. Not to nudge Kadeem or anyone too much, but I think this is possible.
It's happening. It will happen.
Soon.
While we're all pandemicking, that would be a good thing to talk about.
Might as well. Kenia, Glen, I think this is it. Thank you both so much for being on our show.
All right, thanks again for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys. Really appreciate it.